Hi everyone, welcome to the Sew Essential vlog. I'm Lucy and I'm here today to talk you through my latest makes. As always, everything I talk about today, the patterns, the fabric, the habby, the notions, they're all available on our website and you can find the link to our lovely website below, so hop on and have a look. I'll also put the links to the individual products below for you as well so that they're nice and easy to find. And if you do like what you see today, please like and subscribe because I bring you a sewing video every week on this channel full of tutorials, sewing inspiration, ideas, patterns, fabrics, you name it. It's all on this channel. Every week there's a new video. Right, so let's get started with the first make, which is McCall's 8041, which is this fabulous shirt blouse pattern that I've made in our gorgeous polka dot crepe fabric, and I absolutely love wearing this. It's very quickly become one of the most worn items in my wardrobe, so I'm just trying to show you the back there. So it's a blouse pattern but with some nods to shirt pattern details. So there's a lovely pointed collar. It's not a stand-up collar, so the collar just comes out of the neckline. There's no additional stand that the collar's sewn onto, so it's nice and easy to do. And then it's finished with a button band which finishes part way down the blouse, so it doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the blouse, it finishes here. And then it's quite an oversized fit, which I really like because I think that's a very modern aesthetic. It's quite a nice length as well. I'm 5'6", and you can see, you know, there's plenty of length on it there. And then the cuffs have got buttons and buttonholes as you would expect, but there's a nice chunky cuff there. And yeah, oh, there's a yoke at the back as well and some gathers at the back. And it was a really fun, easy make. I really enjoyed making this blouse and I absolutely love wearing it. It's really comfortable, but it just feels a little bit more put together than wearing a t-shirt. So I can still wear my jeans and feel comfortable and casual and like I'm not too dressed up for every day, but I just feel a little bit smarter than I do in my t-shirts and things. So it's really nice from that point of view. It's been a really welcome addition to my wardrobe. So the pattern comes in sizes 6 to 22. A 6 is a 30.5-inch bust, a 23-inch waist and a 32.5-inch hip. And the 22 is a 44-inch bust, 37-inch waist and a 46-inch hip. Now I made a 12 on the top and graded to a 14 at the waist and hips. Obviously it is an oversized shirt, so I probably didn't need to grade out. You know, I would have probably got away with just making a straight size 12, but I'm glad I did because I like that oversized look and I really like the fit of it. It feels very comfortable. In terms of adjustments, I just made my usual adjustments, which are a high round back and a forward shoulder adjustment. So I'm quite hunched at the back at the top and my shoulders are forward as well. So there's tutorials on how to do those adjustments on our channel, so you can get on and have a look at those if you're interested. And then I did scoop out the front armhole slightly as I sewed it. I think I tacked the sleeve in place first and just played around with just bringing the seam line in just slightly there. Because I've got those forward shoulders, it does make me wider at the back and a bit narrower at the front there, and I was getting some drag lines here, so I decided it's a remedy I've done before that worked well. I decided just to scoop that out a little bit there, and that worked really well because I'm very pleased with the fit. As I said, it's lovely and comfortable. In terms of the construction on this one, it was super easy. I think they do recommend it as a good pattern for beginners on the packet. I think the fiddliest and trickiest bits to do were the bottom of the button band. So, and I was kicking myself about this actually because I am a bit of a perfectionist with my sewing, and the first time I finished it off at the bottom there, it was absolutely, well, it wasn't absolutely perfect. There was just a slight little snag. It wasn't quite how I wanted it, and I had that moment where you sort of think, now do I unpick it or do I accept that that's good enough? And sometimes the gamble of unpicking it pays off, and you're really glad you did it, and you think, I'm glad I insisted on getting it just right. That happens a lot in my sewing projects. Not on this one. I unpicked it, couldn't get it back together how it needed to go, and ended up having to sort of finish it in not the way I would like, really. I couldn't quite catch all the fabric. I think some of the fabric had frayed slightly when I unpicked it, so I had to do a little bit of a bodge job on that, unfortunately. So, but I think it's useful to share those things with you guys, because on social media there's so many people going, oh, and I just did this and I just did this and it's so wonderful and perfect and beautiful, and I just think that's not real life. I think even if you've been sewing for 60 years, things still go wrong. So I'm never afraid to share my mistakes with you so that you can learn from them, and also just realise that it happens to us all. So, and then there's another mistake that I made as well on that vein, which was I put the buttons and the buttonholes on the wrong side of the cuff. I was sitting there talking to my 2 children and my husband while they ate their dinner, doing the buttonholes and the buttons, not concentrating properly, and I put them on the wrong side. So although they look great, there's nothing wrong with them, it makes it quite tricky to do these because they're actually on the wrong way round. So I could remedy it. I have thought about maybe sewing the buttonholes up and then putting the button on top and then putting some buttonholes on the other side. I might do that at some point because I don't think you'd really see it. But yeah, just one of those silly mistakes. But then I made another shirt after this one, and no such mistakes were made on that shirt. I can assure you I don't think I'll make that mistake again. So I learned something from it, which is always good. The other thing I wanted to talk about with construction was the collar as well. So I was very pleased with these lovely sharp points that you can see, because I think when you're making a blouse or a shirt, that is definitely one of the areas you want to focus on if you want to get a really professional finish. And I always struggle. One of my sewing nemesis, I don't know, is bulky corners. When you turn corners through, I think sometimes they can look quite bulky. You can't get that nice sharp point, and it's really annoying when that happens. But what I've discovered is some people will give you the advice to leave your seam allowances intact, and then that will give you a sharper, crisper point. And what I found is, yes, that's the case when I'm working with a 90-degree angle. So for example, on a denim skirt or a pair of jeans on the waistband, when I'm working with a 90-degree angle like that, and it's like a bulkier fabric, like a medium weight fabric, yes, I've had lots of success using that method, whereby you leave the seam allowances intact and fold them over one another to get that crisp corner. However, when I've been working with angles like this and in lighter weight fabrics like this, I have found that snipping across the corner and then trimming either side of the point down as well, obviously you've got to be really careful not to cut through your stitching lines, but trimming the either side down like that has really helped me to achieve a much sharper, crisper point. If I tried to leave the seam allowances intact on this, it was just too bulky because the angle's so small, there's not enough room for all that fabric to sit in there. But the other thing that I did, which I really was so impressed with, was I used one of our Prim point turners. I think it's called a corner shaper maybe on the website. I'll try and remember to pop the link below. But after I'd trimmed everything down and turned it through, I used the corner pointer, the point turner, to just push into the corner of the collar, and it pushed everything out and gave me that really sharp, crisp corner, and I was so pleased with it. It's just a piece of plastic and it's just got a nice soft end to it, so you've got to be careful, you know, if you're too aggressive with it you could go right through the fabric, as with anything. But I think because of the way it's designed and shaped, you know, you can give it a decent push and really make sure all that fabric pushes out the right way, and it just gave me those lovely sharp, crisp corners. So I was very pleased with that. Highly recommend that tool. And that's it really. It was a nice, easy thing to make. Made a couple of silly mistakes, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. Fabric's fantastic, washes and wears brilliantly, low maintenance, and as I said, just a nice welcome addition to my wardrobe, just something that I can pop on with my jeans and my trainers and a leather jacket and just feel nice and put together, relatively smart, but without feeling too dressed up for every day, and just a nice change from a simple t-shirt. Now, having said that, obviously there is still always room in your wardrobe for some simple t-shirts, and that's something that I was definitely lacking. And at the time of filming this and sort of making this, I was just about to go on a little staycation in the UK, and I just needed some nice casual t-shirts to wear on the beach during the day, because obviously it's not going to be that hot, I wouldn't have thought, most of the days. So I made this simple t-shirt, which is another New Look 6217, which I made. I've shared it with you in a different t-shirt fabric like a few videos ago, and yeah, it's just a great simple pattern, 2 pattern pieces, really easy to make, and I made it in this lovely super soft lightweight t-shirt jersey fabric that we've got in stock. I wish there was some way that you could feel how soft this is, because it is really beautiful. It just feels lovely against my skin, nice and breathable because it's a cotton jersey, I think, and yeah, just a good old stripy t-shirt. So yeah, I made a size 10 in the top. I was sized down because I was making it in jersey, still quite a sort of loose fitting t-shirt, but I do think, considering this t-shirt hasn't got any darts or anything, I do think it creates quite a nice shape over your body, which is great for a pattern that's just got 2 pieces and absolutely minimal first. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. However, I did say I was about to go on a staycation, and certainly my batteries are pretty empty now, I have to tell you. I have been really tired the last couple of weeks. We've had a crazy year this year, as everybody has, and we've had a lot to contend with, a lot to deal with, and even making a simple t-shirt pattern like this that I've actually made before, there were so many things that went wrong and so many trials and tribulations that I had, which I always like to share with you. So the first one was, I thought, oh, I'm going to mix it up a bit this time. I'm going to put a neckband on it instead and finish the neckline in that way, and then I'm going to put some little cuffs on so I can have rolled up sleeves. All of those things I messed around with for ages, couldn't get them right, and yeah, just gave up on them in the end and had to think, you know, it wasn't meant to be, this idea that I had for the neckband. It just, no matter how I applied it, I applied it and unpicked it several times, it just wasn't sitting flat. You know, I'd got all the tension right and everything, but yeah, there was just something not quite right, and I had to just call it a day. But what I will say is, thankfully, I used some of our seam tape around the neckline. So it's like a little fusible strip of stretching facing, really. And we do it, we've got a prim version and a Vaseline version. And I'd iron that on around the neckline before I started messing around with the neckband. And I have to say, as I did apply a neckband at least 3 times and unpick it. I know, nightmare. But the neckline kept its shape through all of that trauma, unpicking, sewing, you know, and all the rest of it. The neckline really did keep its shape. So that seam tape is fantastic. I use the Vaseline one and I love it. What else do I need to talk about? I decided in the end, because of all those dramas, just to turn the hem in and then just cover stitch it down, so it's got like a nice neat cover stitch finish around there. And then I did the same on the sleeve hems and the same on the hem on the t-shirt. One thing I did do, which I always like to do, because you know, when we sew we can do so much better than the ready to wear clothes, can't we, is I did do the stripe matching down the sides seams. So you can see there that I've stripe matched that on both sides, and that always gives me a nice bit of satisfaction. My top tips for that are just to, when you fold your fabric for cutting out, just make sure your lines are running on top of one another accurately. You can insert a pin through the 2 layers of the fabric just to check, just lift the fabric up then and just check that the lines are running accurately on top of one another. Then when you cut out, position your pattern pieces so that the notches are in the same position on the print or on the stripes for the front and the back. And then once you go to sew it together, I pinned along every stripe because, you know, it's not too much of a small stripe. You know, I could pin each individual stripe horizontally to make sure they were held together. And then what I did do as well was I sewed this on my overlocker, so I did a little test first to make sure that the stripes maintained the accuracy as I sewed. And what I found was the first sample I did, they moved slightly when I put it through the overlocker, only slightly. So what I did then was I knocked the differential feed at 1, which just draws the fabric in a little bit, and then that meant that the 2 layers fed through evenly and the stripes matched up, so that was really good. And yeah, I had a few mishaps. I singed the fabric at one point as well. There's a slight bit of singeing gone on at the back there somewhere, but you really can't see it, only I would know that it's there. So, and it was in quite an inconspicuous area, so, but you know, when you're running on empty and you're trying to carry on, sometimes, you know, you just got to give yourself a break, haven't you, really? But I do highly recommend this pattern. I should say as well that there was a centre back seam on the actual pattern, but I omitted that because I didn't want one on the jersey and it wasn't necessary. So I just folded over the pattern piece by 5/8 just to get rid of that seam allowance on the back. And that's it. But yes, although it was a bit of a pain to make this t-shirt and took a lot longer than it should have done, I'm sure I will get lots and lots of wear out of this and it will be a great wardrobe staple for me. So I really highly recommend this pattern and really highly recommend this beautiful, beautiful soft fabric as well. So I hope you've enjoyed all of that today. If you, as I mentioned at the start of the video, everything I talk about today is available on our website, and you'll find the link to our website below, and I'll pop the links to the products I've mentioned today below as well. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.